I know this sounds a little philosophical, but it really is all about that human plus AI concept that I always talk about. I started playing around with my own personal digital twin. And as an ER doctor, I thought, what does that even mean?
Digital twin provides us with way more just predictive analytics, but in a way that is continuous.
Our rate limiting step is ourselves, right? Our imagination is there, our technology is exponential, but the culture is not. My soapboxes right now is how can we lower healthcare costs leveraging AI to help the future?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Signals and Symptom Podcast. Today, we're going to have a special episode, and I'm too excited about it. My good friend, Harvey Castro, which is generally a co host, we're going to treat him as a guest today. And the reason behind it is that I really want to learn this very important topic, which is essentially healthcare digital twins, how you go from concept to clinical reality. And given his experience internationally, we have a better outcome, or at least see physically where things are going to be in the next year or so, as compared to here in US, where there's a lot of issues with data silos, etc. And more importantly, how important it is. So we're going to work on this. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and let our Harvey Castro teach us about number one, digital twin. And then we're going to talk about digital twin in healthcare. It is, again, a harder concept. So for our audience, let's just first step back and remind them what the word digital twin means. And then we're going to talk about healthcare, and then we're going to talk about its applications.
Yeah, so big picture, look at it this way. Literally, it's kind of interesting. We're following NASA and watching what the government's doing. Well, back in the day, NASA was having trouble in space, and they didn't know how to fix the problem. And they literally had to create a mirror image of what was going on in space so that they could simulate and see how to fix it. Well, that concept was eventually what became a digital twin. It's actually all around us and we don't really realize. A couple of years ago, I spoke at the Consumer Electronics Show, and that was the main theme, was the digital twin. I spoke with Siemens, and basically what they were doing is creating factory digital twins. So if you wanted to start a factory, they would go through and be like, okay, here's what that factory looks like. Here's the process. Here's the workflow and all the components of how that machine would be working and talking and friction points. That way, when they would develop it, they knew what they were developing down to the nanosecond, down to the centimeter, the whole thing. Now, let's extrapolate that down to healthcare. What does that mean in healthcare? Well, again, different flavors depending on the use cases. And so personally, I've been really excited because, and we'll go through it.
Before you go into Harvey, one more thing. So digital twin, I understand, right? So for example, I'm designing a car, but then I design it on a computer simulation as a digital twin, put it in a tunnel, which is, also digital. But have you had any other examples of non-mechanical digital twins outside of healthcare industry?
Outside of the healthcare industry, what else have I seen? Obviously we've seen airplanes, right? That's a simple one. We've seen how they would act with airfare, with the air resistance and the different models.
So that's where I wanted to, before you talk about healthcare, I want people to understand that how it is so different. We talk about digital twins, from designing this tool to this table to everything simulation wise, and not to mention the whole AI robotics, which is we're doing, gives you very small data set now that it generates simulated data set, which is then converted into a digital twin and then converted into new AI. Robotics. And honestly, I mean, it has massive global implications, because production pipelines are not going to look like what it looks like today. It's insane. I mean, there's a whole protectionism globally going on. And one of the reasons is that. Now, healthcare is different. And I just want to classify that, because when you're doing digital twins outside of healthcare, you're mainly talking about mechanical things. And then in healthcare, go ahead, Harvey.
So in healthcare, like you said, it's an interesting being, and I know this sounds a little philosophical, but it really is all about that human plus AI concept that I always talk about. I started playing around with my own personal digital twin, and as an ER doctor, I thought, what does that even mean? I thought, well, I see people dying in front of me. And I thought if I could leverage AI to give me predictive analytics to tell me before the incident happens, then I have something. And that's literally my personal version of the digital twin, that I'm creating more predictive analytics, more looking at data. How can I change it? As opposed to if Junaid made it, he would look at it a little differently and he'd be skewed to his personality.
Before, we actually in predictive analytics only was pure statistical, but now we have hybrid mechanics and ML surrogates that he just described beautifully in simple terms, as I'm doing it stupidly. But anyways, what I'm saying is that the idea is that the digital twin provides us with way more just predictive analytics, but in a way that is continuous. If we have access to other digital twins as well, we can do predictive analytics at massive level as well, basically doing counterfactual as well. So what excites you most about digital twin technology in healthcare? That's number one. What is the top three applications that you think are going to change the way we function?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm really excited, and it's really more of a category. I guess breaks it down, but from a big category, I'm excited about predictive analytics. I'm really excited about how can I create a digital twin that gives me predictive analytics of, let's just say, Harvey, and then taking it to the next level. And these are all things that are coming, or some of it's already here, is now that I know what Harvey looks like, then if, let's say, you and I are taking the same medication, how can we change that medicine to personalize it for me, for my genetics, for my weight, for my age, for my way of metabolizing things? That to me is going to be the difference, because now we're getting personalized care because of that digital twin. All right, let's see. We got a question. How do we address the key challenge like data privacy and implementation costs? Awesome question, Kathy. Obviously, I'm blessed in that I'm leveraging these tools. And so I literally have my own computer that is locked down, that it's in its own cloud, that is in this house, secured, and I'm able to put all my genetics, my wearables, my electronic records. And so as far as the privacy, no, it's not on ChatGPT server. It's not on Junaid's server. It's on my own personal server, and I have it locked. And then as far as implementation costs, yes, I'm an N of one. And so, yes, I'm spending the money. But for me, this is the way I see it. I am fine tuning it, fixing it, creating it, and seeing how can I leverage this technology for everybody so that those implementation costs goes down, so that the privacy is there. This is one of many reasons why I'm working for Phantom Space, because of what you just said. My vision is, can we create a digital twin and then leverage the sky, leverage the data centers, so it processes that information, comes back to me, or let's say you on your phone, and then through blockchain technology is going back and forth, leveraging that information. That to me is gold, and it will basically address all of those things, lower the cost and keep the price.
Absolutely perfect, would we understand. So now, going back to this, so we have level one, level two, and level three in terms of healthcare. Now, tell me, what is the current status of level one? Do you think it is with announcements from Perplexity, Claude? Are we there, or are we not there? And then the second thing is, of course, when do we get to level two? And then in your in your mind, when will we get to level three?
You see, to me, it's quite interesting. Our rate limiting step is ourselves, right? Our imagination is there, our technology is exponential, but the culture is not. I talk about this all the time, and I do want to mention it. So there's something called Martek's law. Here's the skinny: AI, algorithmic. It's going like a hockey stick, straight up. You and I, where we work for, it's more of a logarithmic change and slow. The bigger the gap becomes, the more disruption. The reason I'm going over this is because this digital twin question answers that question. It's because of that. If I am in Singapore, if I'm in the UAE, where they're looking at digital twins, where they're creating the framework to make this successful, then implementation is going to happen way quicker. But I do have one quick prediction. We will in my opinion, see other countries doing this, create FOMO here in the United States, call our congressman, call our president, and say, hey, why don't we have it? And we're going to see a huge shift all of a sudden here in the States. So, time wise, I don't know, but I see that in the next few years, we're going to be moving quickly.
I totally agree with you. I understand data is the biggest issue. There's a highest risk of cybersecurity in this. What is other challenges that you see in US versus the rest of the world that we need to address today?
Going back to that analogy of the foundation, we need to make sure that we have the infrastructure, that we have the data centers, that we have the energy, that we can drive the cost down. Because if the cost is too high, it's not going to happen for the masses, right? That's one of my I don't know, my soapboxes right now is how can we lower healthcare costs leveraging AI to help the future? And that is it. So can we lower the cost of the infrastructure? Can we have the data centers? Can we have more open, like llama models, open models where we're able to leverage them so we're not having to pay as much in tokens? Can we create more on-device processing like the iPhone that are coming out, and more of those things so that we can leverage, so we can bring the cost down? Those were the things that I would be pushing my congressman. And by the way, buddy, in I don't know, let's say 8 years, my goal is to run for one term in Congress, though.
We are going to be very excited. You're going to have full support, and then we're going to basically do this for you. And I hope that we have forward looking congressmen like you that understand this, because it is also, as as you always suggest, cultural shift. And that comes from leadership explaining to everyone that how important it is. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, the way that I'm looking at LLMs in the future is what you exactly described. It is like a meter that I'm paying for electricity. It's going to be tokens, period. And we talked about the cybersecurity risk. We talked about the levels of autonomy it's going to create. What are your predictions that a person can reliably use tokens for healthcare? And do you think that this surge and everything is going to improve overall, Harvey, or do we really need to push in this regard?
No, I do see things going to the edge, meaning using all these AI tokens. Eventually, a lot of the uses is going to be on your phone, so you won't need to pay OpenAI certain things because it'll be running here. Taking that analogy, then I see that same concept happening where there'll be many AIs happening in the office, where the doctor's not having to pay OpenAI.
But do you really think, given that you are using it personally as well, do you really think that AI in healthcare will bring true healthcare outcomes that are going to be better than what we're seeing?
If we could do one single thing, do one predictive analytic, we can change the future. Let me give you a quick example. Unfortunately, my dad died in his early 50s of a heart attack. Long story short, here's the point. He had a heart attack, no warning signs, no predictive analytics. But here's the skinny. My mom is alive and she had cancer. She had ultrasound herself, found a nodule. Long story short, she was able to get chemo, radiation. She's alive. What is the difference? My mom, let's call it, had predictive analytics because she caught it early. My dad didn't. My dad's no longer here. My mom, 20 years after that cancer, she's still here. So with that principle, can we leverage AI to lower the cost and to save lives?
And lastly, I mean, Harvey, let's just assume that you are Elon Musk right now and you have access to technology that's going to release in 3 years and maybe not release because of whatever that reason may be. But anyways, what I'm saying is that do you really think that these level of technologies already exist, or are they too far in the future to provide this level 3 personalized medicine, at all?
So the number one question, do we have this stuff? Yeah. Do they have the next iPhone or the next 2, 3 generations? Yeah, they have them. Is it release? No, unfortunately. Is it economics? Is it technology? Is it culture? What's holding it back? So I do think the answer is the information is there, the technology there. The derivative of that statement is startups call me. They're like, hey, Harvey, how do I start this at the hospital? I'm like, dude, do not show them this widget. Do not. show them this other widget because this they can accept culturally. If you show them this, you're going to scare them away. You're not going to get that deal. And so with that analogy, it's the same.
Now, just step back for the audience, Harvey, and make them explain where this genetics and epigenetics comes in. It's insane, right? I mean, I'm going to take it one step further. We are now officially ordering genetic tests, especially for kids when we're starting medications for seizures, because we now need to know that there's 1 in 10,000 chance that something bad can happen. But more importantly, we now know that some medications work in better genetics and epigenetic situation. We're already doing it. It is part and parcel of today. But what I'm saying is that in future, you're going to have one test, you're going to have access to this, you will be able to share through your digital twin to your provider, and then at the point of care you will be able to adjust all of this. The last question of the thing: how are we gonna regulate this? Because this is, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is literally confusing to me, Harvey. I mean, are we gonna be able to regulate this?
No, it's gonna be tough, right? Because people like me will be able to, or and you guys eventually, the technology and the how to will get so simple that you'll be able to do it yourself. So we'll be able to have our own digital twins, but that's the part that the regulation needs to be considered, because if someone is creating these healthcare digital twin and does it wrong and hurts themselves, or it's going to be an issue.
So, Harvey, if we talked about regulation, this is honestly the last question of the day. How your theme about culture is going to impact regulation moving forward? So, how do we, have this matrix of regulation, self autonomy, increase? It's insane the level of increased speed of development come together, especially now bring it to the international, uh, comparison as well.
Because on one side we want, like you said, you have all these models that's helping humanity, and we want those things, but at the same time, like any tool, if it's used wrong, then people may die from it. So how do we find that balance? And unfortunately, sometimes it's regulation to bring that balance to the table. You and I have the heart of a giving heart of a doctor, and so we want to see these things come true. But unfortunately, there's other players out there that will use some of this technology for bad. This is really, really powerful, and so that kind of worries me. And then the other part of this is, let's be frank: if my digital twin says, "Yeah, Harvey's gonna, he's gonna bite the bullet here. He's gonna die here in about 5 years," my life insurance, my health insurance, who's to say that all of a sudden I don't start getting denied or certain things start changing because of my digital twin? I don't know that this is going on because it's being manipulated against me. So things to think about. And that's where we need a regulation to protect us.
It is really getting truly, I mean, astonishingly different. I mean, it is, I don't know, it is a little scary at times. But it is what we think is going to be the best of times as well. If we make good choices, as he suggested, and then implement it in our cyber secure, privacy preserving way. Thank you, everyone, for joining. See you next time. I really appreciate it. We're going to have some of these educational sessions coming too. We just want to make sure that everyone understands the power of AI, use it in a good way. Thank you.